Drive left center field. He might have had it. There it goes. It's there.
Welcome back to the sports page. Well, it has been a busy weekend for all of us. So we're going to talk a little post-draft. And for that, we are joined by Chargers beat writer Michael Gelkin and by former Chargers defensive end Jacques Cesaire. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we don't grade drafts here. Of course we have Kevin. Because that would be irresponsible. We just make snap judgments. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's analyze this draft. Let's just kind of go through it and see what we think. Actually, Kevin, I want to start with you because your column talked about that you thought that they had a pretty good draft there.
I'll tell you what, I put out the word on Twitter, and the folks, there was only like one grade out of 50 responses lower than a B. So the people liked it, so I just had to say that. I just wanted to put that. I liked the way they went about it. Decisive, 7 spots up to get Manti Te'o. Decided that there was going to be offensive line or it was going to be nothing at the 11th spot. Obviously, they were going to make a pick, so it was offensive line. Got DJ Fluker. Said, we don't care we got a right tackle. Put this guy in at right tackle. We'll see what happens with Jeremy Clary.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like the fact that they have the first 3 rounds, they have first round talent in those first 3 rounds right there. So they have a playmaker in Keenan Allen, they have a proven winner in Manti Te'o, and obviously a championship caliber right tackle in DJ Fluker. So I like what they went with DJ Fluker. I like what they did trading up to get Manti Te'o. It says that they had a plan, they stuck with the plan, and they went after it.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that they got 3 first-round picks in those first 3 rounds.
Talk about contrast, Michael Gelkin, from Larry English, from a surprise to move up to get Ryan Matthews. All I'm talking about, Jacques, he winces when I mention his former teammates all the time. All I'm talking about is from shocks to guys with potential first-round grades, the guys that you should have gone with.
Right. I think some people thought DJ Fluker was a shock, but it wasn't because they plan on keeping him on the right side. He's a guy who's going to step in right away, be a starter. You can say the same thing about Manti Te'o. No one was convinced Jonas Mouton was the answer. They're moving forward. They're not living with the previous regime's mistakes. And then I think it was going to be hard already for Robert Meacham to hit the field, and it just became a little more difficult with Keenan Allen. And they can't very well release him, but you just kind of wonder what role Robert Meacham could possibly earn this year.
Well, Keenan Allen depends on himself a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely does. But the thing I like about these top 3 picks is the fact that they all have a chip on their shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
You know, DJ Fluker wasn't named with the Lane Johnsons and things like that. You know, Manti Te'o, obviously he has the whole girlfriend thing that he has to kind of work through.
He didn't have a girlfriend.
Yeah, whatever he did, tomato, whatever he had.
All the off-the-field issues.
The simple fact is this guy's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. And Keenan Allen obviously ran that slow 40 time. He dropped all the way to the 3rd round when they were saying this guy was the #1 wide receiver on the board, and now he gets a chance to prove it, and he has a great quarterback to throw him the ball.
I want to make sure that there's one thing that said wide receivers can take a while to develop in the NFL. It's one of those positions. It's not like an easy position like defensive end in the 3-4. It's one of those difficult positions, so we'll see what Keenan Allen does.
All right. Probably the most controversial pick was Manti Te'o. Now, let's take aside all the catfish stuff and all the off-the-field issues. What do you think of his game, the way he plays, Jacques?
I think he kind of reminds me of, just like kind of like a Stephen Cooper. I mean, he's a thumper. He's not explosive or fast, but he just is in the right place at the right time. Kind of like how Eric Weddle is.
Very instinctual.
He makes great plays. He's very instinctual. He's obviously a great team leader. He's very tenacious on the field, and I just think he's going to bring a new mentality, and he's going to team up with Donald Butler to make a great linebacking core.
What about a guy, and he's not as fast, but you talk about instinctual and makes plays. What about a guy you played with for a while, Donnie Edwards? Now, I know we're talking different body types and speed, but my gosh, I don't know that he's as physical as Stephen Cooper or as people like to think of their inside linebackers, but a playmaker.
Yeah, when I played with Donnie, the thing that we used to say about Donnie is, Donnie's not going to obviously kill somebody on the field, but Donnie's going to end up at the end of the day with 25 tackles all the time, and maybe 2 picks and a sack. And Donnie was always where you needed him to be, and obviously he knew where to get us to get to. So a guy like Manti Te'o, I like the pick. I like the fact that he's already talking about he's played in the same similar system. He's already had conversations with Joe Barry and John Pagano, and I know that those guys are going to coach him up and put him in the right position to make plays.
Did they lose anything by giving up that 4th round pick with so many wide roster needs?
I mean, certainly. I think they probably could have used a 4th-round pick, but when you're in the 2nd round and there's someone on the board who feels the need for you, and you have a 1st-round grade for him, it was kind of a no-brainer. Tom Telesco, he woke up Friday saying, if he's there, we're going to get our guy. And luckily, the Cardinals were willing to make that trade. But before the Chargers even called Arizona, they felt comfortable with the character. I mean, we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Brian Polian is a guy who Tom Telesco was very familiar with, went to school together with him, part of that Polian family, was there in Notre Dame with Manti Te'o, knows about him, and him and the rest of the coaches know him so well, and it was unanimous between those coaches who are around Manti Te'o, the kind of person and leader he is in the locker room.
Do you think he woke up and said that?
That's what he says.
Okay. That's my nod to Nick Canepa. He's not here to ask nonsensical questions, so I just go ahead.
Okay, well, we talked about what they did do. How about what they didn't do? And I think I'm going to have you start us off, Michael, since you've got this left tackle issue that you've been bugging Tom Telesco about. Every press conference we were at, how about that left tackle situation, Tom?
Mike's like, I'm a beat writer. It's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Of
pretty
course
important.
it is,
I think
of course
we've
it
been
is.
able to prove that left tackle is an important need.
Yes.
Yes, I asked about it quite a bit, but the thing is that the Chargers can only fill so many needs. They had so many. They can only fill so many in this draft, and they came out of it. You know, there were 3 left tackles that they considered, you know, this could be our starter, and they all went in the first 4 picks. So they weren't going to go for Teron Armstead in the 3rd round. They weren't going to go for Watson out of Florida State in the 2nd because they didn't have that type of grades on them. They didn't think they could step in and be that guy. There are veterans available, and that's kind of where that leaves them now. You know, maybe Bryant McKinney, who's visiting Miami today, but there's no contract imminent there. That could be one player. I think Max Starks, who was a left tackle all 16 games last year for Pittsburgh, he's another option. So, you know, the Chargers are going to sift through it. They have a plan for this, preparing for it before the draft. They spoke with Bryant McKinney. So there is that dialogue. They knew that this was possible, and now that's where they are.
Well, let's not forget scheme here. I mean, there's such thing as sliding the protection. There's such thing as adding a tight end or a running back to help out that left tackle. They drafted DJ Fluker because they can trust him. They feel that they'll trust him. They can leave him on an island. You move Cleary to that guard position, which I think is outstanding and brilliant. Now you have probably the biggest right side in the NFL. And you talk about these guys are going to be road grading guys, not only that, but you can slide Claire down. Now Claire's allowed to be aggressive like he is and be able to help more out with Nick. Nick can help out with the guard can help out the left tackle.
And most of the acquisitions they got in the offseason are blockers.
Right, and it's something that we've addressed, and I wanted to address. You took my column for this. You're not writing this Sunday, are you? It's not the battle of the column, it's not the battle you.
It's great to hear you say that, though.
You know, my disappointment in that is that's what you guys have had to do so much of the past 2 seasons.
Okay.
But you're 100% right. Danny Woodhead, the 2 tight ends, bringing Ronnie Brown back. Absolutely, Jacques. That's why we bring you here. Expert.
Yeah, I thought that was
and
great.
then Keen Dunlap
insight.
is here.
I'm sorry.
Keen Dunlap, they feel, is a guy who's better than Michael Harris, who's better than Kevin Haslam, upgrading over what they had last year already, although obviously he can't do it alone.
And they have weapons. Vincent Brown's coming back. This slot guy.
Boom.
Keenan
Get it
Allen,
right to him.
Michael Floyd.
Danilo Alexander,
Antonio Gates.
Right.
Phillip Rivers, get rid of that ball quick. Boom.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we're running a little bit out of time, but let's just talk briefly. The depth on the D-line, they didn't really fill that out. More strong safety. More strong safety.
Do we have?
I can't think of
We
anybody.
put up a full screen graphic of the available defensive ends that live in San Diego.
Veteran presence right here.
Jock, is this just troublesome, right?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. They addressed that in undrafted free agents.
They
brought
did.
in a couple of nose tackles, Kwame Gathers. I like the Jamarcus McFarland pick because he was a top guy coming out of high school. Had a bit of a disappointing season in years in Oklahoma, but I think that he's another type of guy that, you know, we're the same size, 6'2", 295 pounds, and if he doesn't work out, call me, Tom. And, you know, he's just the type of guy that, you know, Don Johnson's going to get his hands on and kind of mold these guys. And let's not forget, I mean, they have a proven starting 3, and those guys, you know, they're durable, they're tough, they're big, and I think they're going to do a great job.
Love those ends. Love Legit and
Absolutely.
Reyes.
One guy wouldn't sleep on Byron Jerideau. He's a guy, undrafted rookie free
South
agent.
Carolina?
South Carolina, with same position coach as Melvin Ingram. They really, really like his physical tools. He's well over 300 pounds, but he benched like something like
37 reps.
37 reps in the bench press. We're at 5'140.
We are really out of time, but LT, possibly coming back to the Chargers. What did we all think of that? And brief comments on that.
I believe that it was misinterpreted by the legend LaDainian Tomlinson to a certain extent.
Yes.
I just feel that the man retired. He's probably one of the greatest football players that ever played.
Yes.
He retired, and I think
He's
maybe
committed.
Yeah, he's committed to retirement. He's doing a great job on NFL Network, and I think he's committed to staying retired.
Not as good as you're doing here.
No, we're going to bring you back to talk more about the offseason moves that they make as we continue. We got some tweets next, right, Kevin?
We'll wrap it up with tweets.
Thanks so much, guys.